Hey, kia ora, and welcome everybody to yet another episode of Big Life Mindset. So today you're going to hear about a couple of life hacks that I've got. And you'll recall that when I suggest a life hack, I tend to only do it because it's made a genuine difference in my life. I tend to avoid those life hacks that you see on Instagram or whatnot that I find either aren't memorable or don't really add a lot of value in my life, or they're really just a waste of time. Before I do that, though, just a quick reminder that I'll soon be launching a subscription service podcast, and it will focus on giving people more confidence at work. So what I'll have is a number of episodes that'll be tailored for building up your confidence, your skills, and your knowledge to overcome any work situation, whether that's building a case for a pay rise, or dealing with a difficult personality at work, or writing exceptional resumes, knowing how to interview, the works. That service will be, when I do that, that'll be myself, which I'll do 4 episodes a month. And I'll also have industry experts on. So that's people that are recruitment agency consultants, professional resume writers, that kind of thing. So keep an eye out for that. Cool. So back to the topic at hand, these life hacks. Now, if you're still kind of desperate for those, real short, sharp life hacks because you've got one of these TikTok attention spans, which is okay, don't get me wrong, then this is one that I'll happily share. So you'll never see me advertise something that I don't believe in, or endorse something that I don't believe in. I've already lived that life. I used to sell water coolers. I was literally a water boy. But it would give me like the sweats trying to think about selling these things, because you could just put a jug of water in the fridge and it's essentially exactly the same thing. A while ago, I had caught up with one of my mates. He's a dentist. I won't give his name just in case his practice doesn't appreciate him pointing customers in another direction. But anyway, so I'm sitting in his dental chair and we're just having a bit of a yarn. And in amongst this work that he's doing on my teeth, and if you're joining me on Spotify, you're probably looking at my teeth right now. And by the way, that's very cool. No, not the teeth thing. The fact that you're joining me on Spotify because I'm doing these video podcasts and to, build a connection and all that. Anyway, so I'm sitting in the chair and I ask him about teeth whitening. I ask him about teeth whitening because, all the years of coffee, and I was a massive tea drinker as well, and I blazed a lot. They'd kind of taken their toll on my teeth, and they started to go this really funky color. It was like, when you have a Barocca, and you chuck it in the water and you drink it, and then your wee comes out like that really strong color. It was looking like that. So I said to him, "Hey, bro, I'm starting to think about teeth whitening. And I know you can do like this stuff with ultraviolet light and all the rest." And anyway, my mate says he can do it. He can definitely help me out in this regard. And it's going to cost about 2.5, 3 grand for him to do it, which, this is New Zealand dollars. For my American audience, this is New Zealand dollars. So I don't know. It's like half the price in the States, whatever. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, that's pretty steep. And then he says, but for less than 1/10 of that price, you can get these strips and they do almost exactly the same job. I'm a tight ass. I'm a cheapskate. So, boom. Oh, okay. I'm interested in this. What does it look like? So here goes. This is like this rolling product endorsement I'm doing. I don't feel dirty for doing this either, because this is genuinely helping me. But hopefully you should be able to see those strips. These are these Oral-B strips. And no shit, I've found that using these things, which you just chuck on your teeth, for 1 hour once a day, has taken the color of my teeth from that Barocca wee to what they are now, which I've seen a noticeable change. And if I hadn't seen this noticeable change, I wouldn't bother recommending these things. So if you want teeth whitening, and apparently that's what all of us do because we just don't like the look of our teeth at the moment, these things work. Go figure. You can find these Oral-B strips supermarket, whatever. I bought like a 15 pack and they cost, I don't know, $20. They're minuscule. So that gets the seal of approval from me. Okay, moving on down to the actual crux of this. So yep, life hack, tick that one. But here's a real badass life hack. And I know this because this one I'm starting to think is making such a significant difference in my life. I'm wondering how many roads point back to this thing and allowing me to live the life that I'm living, which I thoroughly love. Okay, so this life hack is putting everything else in perspective. And funnily enough, it's because that's exactly what it is. Perspective. Now, before you go, oh man, you switch off. Oh man, I don't have time for this perspective namby-pamby bullshit. Like, I'm busy. I've got all this other stuff I need to focus on. That's pretty much an example. Like, that's a case in point that by the end of this episode, you're going to work out how this understanding of perspective works for me and it works for you. More importantly, that it's going to work for you. Cool that it works for me. I get to enjoy the benefits no matter what. But I'd love it if you got the benefits of this thing too. So here's two examples of when this perspective has worked. 3 days ago, there's the dog. 3 days ago, I have this argument with our eldest daughter, and it is a proper argument. It's full of swearing, threats, consequences, eye rolls. And that was just me. That was just me doing all of that. By the end of it, I'm fucking fuming. I'm so angry. I'm so wound up. I briefly have this vision of smacking the shit out of her. And I'm not going to lie, the vision actually felt good. I didn't, I wouldn't, won't, but for a brief second, it was in there. I won't deny it. Anyway, I took myself to bed about an hour, and about an hour or so after that, she walks in and she apologizes. She apologizes for her behavior. It's a great opportunity for me to apologize as well, right? But I don't. I'm so stubborn. And I say some pithy line like, oh, thanks for apologizing. I hope you have a good sleep. What a dad, eh? What a number one dad. Anyway, I go back to watching whatever this meaningless thing on my phone was. And I wake up the next morning, and ordinarily, like, I don't know, 9.5 times out of 10, if I go to sleep, I wake up the next morning, I'm good to go. The mind's refreshed and all that. But I'm still carrying all this baggage from the argument. So she goes to get ready for school, and I avoid her because I'm mindful that I actually don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm, so angry and stubborn. But I just think, oh, what happens if I get myself into a situation where I just open my mouth and something negative comes out? And it probably would have been negative too. So to her credit, she's the bigger person. I love her. She goes off to school, and then Debbie and I go for a walk, which we've tried to do most mornings, with all the endorphins and all the goodness that comes from going for a morning walk. Man, if you're not doing it, make sure you get this into your daily routine, because it's just such a badass thing to be able to do. Anyway, we're barely 50 meters down the road, and I open my mouth, and sure enough, I'm talking about last night, or the night before, sorry. And it's just negativity. Like, all the stuff that's coming out, it's just garbage, really. Debbie looks at me and she's like, I can't actually deal with this right now. And I just think, oh man, what am I doing here? So I said, okay, you carry on with your walk. I need to go home and just decompress somehow. So I've forsaken this walk, which would have done it for me anyway. And I taken myself home. I get home and I walk in and I sit down at this table, and I'm looking at this photo just over there, which is out of camera shot. But I'm looking at this photo of my daughter, the oldest one that I've had this blow up with. And she's maybe 4 or 5 years old in this photo. And she's smiling. And I remember the photo too. She's just like this happy little bundle of energy and joy. And right beside it is another photo of her. and she's about 8 or 9 in this photo. She's 13 now. She's about 8 or 9 in this photo. And when I look at her, I'm reminded of all these times that we've had together where we've laughed, or there's been just some positive experience. We've done horsey rides, thrown grass at each other, we've jumped over a box, or just something, anything. They're just like these memories just come flooding in, right? And I can't put a finger on how quickly it's all gone by. And then it hits me, this perspective. And I realize I actually can't believe how lucky I am that I've got this person in my life and is so close to my life. And I think, imagine if she died on her way home from school. Like, how fucked up would my headspace be if that was to happen? And all that anger, all that frustration, all that negativity that I had been swimming in, like I almost drowning in, I think, disappeared in an instant. Like, I don't mean it took 5 minutes of tantric breathing and 2 yoga exercises to get rid of it. I mean it was gone in an instant. Kapow. And that's when that whole perspective thing kicked in. And I think about, well, what would my life be without her? Or if she got seriously hurt. And it got whipped away and replaced with this far more positive thing. Gratitude. Being grateful that she's healthy, being grateful that we can even talk to each other, being grateful that I've got this amazing person that's sharing her life or part of her life with me. I'm not a religious person, but I know what gratitude feels like. And I can't help but feel like that gratitude helped give that perspective that I so desperately needed. One of our besties, is going through a life where her kids can't actually talk with their dad, and they'll never be able to, ever again. And just something as powerful and simple as a reminder like that helps give me that perspective of how lucky I actually am. The second example for people out there that don't have kids and maybe struggle to resonate with that story comes courtesy of my time yesterday with the Wellington Hospital and the accident and emergency ward. So 2 nights ago, I'm at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's kind of like wrestling, a bit like judo, that kind of thing. And so me and a training partner are doing takedowns, which is kind of like tackling somebody onto the ground, right? It goes horribly wrong. We both kind of don't do the things that need to happen. And between the two of us, as we're going down, my ankle, my right leg gets caught underneath us. And as we're both going to the ground, you ever had that thing where time slows down? Like just briefly, like goes really slowly, because that's what happened. It started slowing down. And as it's slowing down, I'm thinking, oh shit, my foot's caught under us. And then as we're falling down ever so slowly, you hear this pop. And the noise is really loud. It's almost like a small caliber handgun. And I go, oh, as if I fall to the ground. And then you can basically cue like this excruciating pain. It's not a 10, but it's a solid 7, which in my books is enough for the moment. But it's made more dramatic by that loud popping noise. And so, I kind of crawl off the mat I go home, I sit up knowing that, I'm probably in for a trip to the hospital. But I'm not going to go late at night because I know I'm going to be there for hours. Anyway, so I get home and then I sit up. And yesterday morning, the swelling's getting a bit out of control. Like, oh, right, I've got to go. I know I've got to go. So make my way to the hospital, have to park miles away and have to hobble from the car park to the accident and emergency area. I finally get there and I'm like sweating something extra, right? I'm there for 5.5 hours. This is 5.5 long hours, you can put it that way. And almost 4 of those hours are actually spent sitting in the waiting room area, with the rest of that time kind of a mix of seeing the triage nurse, x-ray and radiology, and then the doctor that's actually going to, do the doing and tell me what's going on. Now, just as a sidetrack for my North American audience, hospitals in New Zealand, I don't think they're anything like what you guys have over there. If you've got something that's you think is serious enough to get A&E, no one asks you about insurance because everyone's automatically insured. No, there's no one person that'll stop you and say, fill out this form, and if you have insurance, then you'll go to this place and you'll actually get seen. And if you don't have insurance, then join the rest of the mongrels at the back. Like, everyone gets seen in New Zealand. I love, don't get me wrong, there's holes in our public health system, but I love our public health system at the same time. We've got this thing called ACC. It's basically the government insurance, and like I said, it's just staggering that more countries don't have this thing. But I digress. So I'm sitting in A&E, and I see all sorts come in, and it's busy. It's a busy place, right? I see a guy come in, and he's got this head wound, and he's got the bandages around the head and all that. I see a lady come in with a friend of hers, and if I had to put a finger on it, she looks like she's been the victim of some sort of violent act. I don't know what's going on. There's a guy and a lady sitting beside me, and this guy is not able to keep anything down, and he's just like constantly vomiting. But there I am sitting there with, they kind of park me in a wheelchair, and I'm sitting there with my laptop and my sore foot. And I'm just kind of riding that out, right? And it was another moment where I get the magic of perspective. Now, I only have to take a 3-second look around this room and at the hordes of people that are coming through here that have got these just really shitty cards that they've been asked to play with. And, I know that mine could be so much worse, so much incredibly worse. And I think therein lies a real critical part of this life hack, this perspective. I know I'm a glass half full person. Yeah, that'll do it. I'm constantly looking for silver linings, or growth, or opportunities. And so maybe perspective and getting perspective is an easier thing for me to get. However, getting perspective doesn't apply, and it's not exclusive to positively minded people. Like, anybody can get it. You don't have to go to a shop to buy it. You don't have to pay anything for it. It's like within all of us. And that's not just like some yoga. I keep picking on yoga at the moment. I'm not sure why, but that's not some like guru mentality. Literally everybody can change their perspective. And so if you're really struggling to find perspective at a point in time, what I've found is that perspective is just like a muscle. The more you work it, the easier it is to work, the stronger it is, the faster you get it. It's no different from, a person going to a gym and lifting weights for their biceps or brain or, any other possibility or any other thing that they might be able to do. So the exercise that you can do, that we can all do, to unlock this perspective life hack is gratitude. It's actually quite a simple one too. You've probably heard people talking about writing down 3 things that you're grateful for, or saying 3 things that you're grateful for, but found, pardon me, that you're just too busy to do it, or you just put it in the I can't be asked right now bin. But honestly, this exercise is gold. If you can't write 3 things down that you're grateful for, just say them in your mind. And what I do is, when I had to do the commute into town to go to work, I would use, a minute of my time to just think, what are these 3 things that I'm grateful for? And I would reel them off quite quickly. And then I would say them again in my mind, or even out loud, who cares, slowly and more deliberately. And I would let each one of those sink in. So, an example might be, I'm so grateful that I can see the water. I can see Wellington Harbour on my way into work. Or I'm so grateful that I got to eat breakfast this morning. Or I'm so grateful that Debbie and I went for a walk this morning. And you'll find that you really do enjoy any of those things that you're grateful for even more. And it does give that perspective. I keep saying that word. I hope you're not sick of it yet. Too bad if you are. But it really does enhance your sense of perspective, because you appreciate the things that you've got more. I did this online course pre-COVID. Oh no, actually, it was the first level 4 that we had, where it's the lockdown, and it was free at the time. It was out of Yale, and it was called The Science of Happiness. I really should do more episodes on it, because it's got some absolute bangers in there for if you want scientifically proven shit that's going to help you live a kind of life that you want to live. It's super badass. Can't recommend it enough. One of the caveats is you kind of have to, it's got a bit of a homework lecturer kind of feel to it, which I actually hate, but stuck through that, got those gems out, and so maybe I'll really aim to kind of share more of those gems with you. But gratitude was definitely one of those things that came through really strongly, and it's helped drive my perspective, which I really think I had an ability to do so before doing the course, but it kind of refreshes it all, gives that an evidence backing to it, and then just helps like instill that as a habit, which I've just benefited from so much. It's rather than just looking at how much worse things could be, which is tends to be like a default setting. It helps you focus on the things that you do have and appreciating those even more. There's that old cliche: change the situation or change your perspective. So no matter what shit situation you find yourself in, you can always change your perspective. And I should know this. Like, I've found myself in enough shit situations for 2 lifetimes, but I found having that sense of perspective has carried me through all the way to the stage where I genuinely love living. All good, folks. Thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time. Please remember to click follow and subscribe, especially, and also rate this, especially if you're on Spotify, as that will help other people quickly see the value that these episodes might be providing. Don't forget to keep an eye out for that Confident at Work series. That'll be subscribers only. It'll contain tools and advice from myself and a panel of industry experts that'll help you give the skills and knowledge to help you to be more confident at work in any work situation. dealing with those difficult personalities at work, knowing how to get decisions to fall in your favor, knowing how, getting real solid career changing advice. And I'm talking about the practical stuff as well. I'm not interested in hearing about theory. I want to know what is the stuff that I can do today that I can benefit from. And that is exactly the kind of thing that I'll be bringing to you as well. As always, folks, be uncomfortable and grow. Peace out.